How's she going, folks? It's your host, Levi.
And your other host, John Demogere.
And welcome to O for Heaven's Sake. Today, our first special guest here on Ofer. He is the play-by-play commentator for Davies High School basketball. NDSU softball commentator seen as of recently. And NDSU the Spectrum Sports editor, plus more things, of course. Welcome to the podcast, Grant Hubbard.
Thanks for having me on, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
He does it all, as they say.
Yeah.
Mosier, it's time to do a very serious interview here. But first, we have to crack
Gotta
open.
crack the drinks open.
I gotta be a part of this.
This is a long-standing tradition. Oh wow, mine didn't crack.
Yeah,
We got waters.
crack stuff open here, so I'll be
Yep.
cracking the stuff open today.
Well, you know, I was at a dentist appointment, and Levi was like trying to text me about what I should bring. And you know, he just assumed because he didn't know what you liked, he was going to bring water. No, it's really disappointing.
I drink 64 ounces a day, but we'll go with the kickstart for
It's a safe bet. Water's always a safe bet.
Love to see it healthy, staying healthy. got that Palmer mentality.
now. I don't have Brennan. No, not Brennan, but enough. I drink enough water. Like Johnny O'Neill had one of those.
You don't just carry the jug of water around with you.
Oh yeah. Like Brennan during class. So
Yeah,
carry that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think about he did have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the topic of that, who was your favorite person you've interviewed and like posted on like social media so
man.
far?
Okay, I've only interviewed a couple of people. Claybo. Okay, the people I've interviewed, it's a short list for now. Claybo, Sam Niederman, Brennan was another one. I think that's it. The list I've interviewed so far. Probably my boss, Sam Niederman. It's probably my favorite interview because he's where I want to be right now. Right? He's the play-by-play radio voice of the Bison. Right? Yeah. And I work at 1660, so I'm around him all the time now. But that first time I met him, I was a little starstruck because I'm like, wow, that's the radio voice of the Bison I'm interviewing right now. So like the interview was like 15 minutes, but then we just talked for another 15 minutes off camera. He was giving me life advice and things I could do in the field, and yeah, it was a really fun interview to do for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing to do is ask questions.
Damn right.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like this, you know, you gotta ask questions. You gotta dive into that person's mind. You know?
Dive in the mind.
I mean, we did a podcast.
We did do a podcast for
I see Lane. We
got
got rid of those rather quickly after I
I
left.
know.
Gone.
They were.
The Marcast is still on there, but not beyond the broadcast.
I think it's because he asked us, and I was like, "Yeah, you can take it down." Where Theo and
I'm
them
not
were
there.
like,
I don't care.
No.
I'm not there. I don't care.
Yep. Alrighty, so we'll go back to backs. Then my next question's a two-parter.
Okay.
First of them, I kind of know this answer already, but I have to let the people know. How do you keep all the information you collect sorted and like keep track of it? And then, what is the secret to a good engaging article for you?
Ooh, okay. I keep all the information. I kind of do it on the spot sometimes. Like if I'm doing a basketball broadcast, I'll do my homework 2 days in advance. So I'm constantly looking up the Davies, the EDC website. I'm looking up the stats and all that stuff. Again, the Davies stuff I already have most of the time, so it's just updating. But if it's a new game, if it's a new team entirely, say we're welcoming Bismarck into town, I gotta do my boards differently. I gotta look up maybe the WDA statistics if there is any at that point in the season and put that stuff on there. But it's not exactly stored as it is just in the heat of the moment when I need it. That's when I go get it. But again, some of the stuff I just remember in my mind. So again, like
He's a thinker.
like I'm a thinker in certain things. I mean, my grades are great, but I'm not saying I'm the best student in the world. But no, it's just I think most of the stuff I have is just in my head or I look it up. Engaging articles. Is that the second part of the question?
Yes.
Again, when I'm writing sports articles all the time now, right? It's not just for the talent. It was you're writing sports this month, but then you're writing maybe a feature the next month. For sports, I'm doing it every week at this point. So it's pretty easy for me to write a sports article because it's NDSU athletics and I know a lot about it. So it's pretty enticing. Like the article I did a couple weeks ago. Did you read the Spectrum at all, either of you?
I see your posts.
Okay.
I see your post.
Definitely open a couple.
I retweeted with my posts around there, but no, I did an article a couple weeks ago for April Fools where I said NDSU athletics will move to the Mountain West in 2026, right? Not true, right? So it was fake and all, but I got 15,000 views, I think, on it. That's because people want it to happen, and I didn't realize I got that many views until our social media manager at the Spectrum, she's like, it got into this Facebook group, and now it has like 15 comments on it. I'm like, really? So I looked at it, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. So, but it's NDSU athletics, right? And that people can't look at NDSU as an athletic university, so it's pretty easy to come up with an enticing article when it's sports related.
Oh yeah.
All right. How is being just a sports editor as a job, and how long does it take to like create those articles?
So I've been the sports editor for about, this will be 8 months. Repeat the question one more time.
A sports editor kind of as a job, and
Yep.
like how long does it take to create an article?
It doesn't take incredibly long. I think because I'm watching throughout the week how we did and everything, and I'm a sports editor, but I have 3 writers I delegate with. So if there's something like I'll cover golf, and then someone else will cover baseball, someone else will cover softball, another will cover track and field. So it doesn't take incredibly long to draft an article. It takes me maybe an hour tops to draft an article, and then I'll get a photo to it, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple for me because it was harder last semester because I only had 1 writer. So I was writing 2 articles a week plus whatever my other writer could get into me. Now that I have 2 more, we have everything filled every week, so it's pretty easy for me to draft an article quickly.
Got to have those people to work for you, you know?
for sure.
So do you like do the interviewing for that, or?
It's not exactly interviewing anymore. It's just basically game recaps, what we're doing right now. Because if it's softball, for instance, like I did this last weekend, I didn't write the article. Someone else wrote the article. I was calling the games, but I'm not interviewing. It's just more recaps at this point. Like if there's an interview, I'll do it, but most of the time we're not really doing that at this point. It's just game recaps.
All right.
So, or my opinion or editorial stuff like that.
So yeah. So question I had is, what is your kind of impression now that you've kind of like seen how like this sort of like sports journalism production media works?
Mm-hmm.
What is your impression on the industry itself?
It's exactly how I figured it would be. It's exactly how I figured
Okay.
when I walked into it. Is you're going to be interviewing players, you're writing articles, you're calling games. I'm doing everything I wanted to do from the sports journalism side. I'm elevating what I did at Davies on a college level because I'm now the sports editor on a bigger level. I'm calling games on a bigger level. Again, no offense, Langley, but 1660 is bigger than Davies Live Network by quite a ton. Yeah, it is. But no, it's exactly what I figured it would be because I'm connecting with more and more people. Like I got to go to the forum and meet Jeff Kolpak. I got to go to Bison Media Day for football with the AM 1100, the flag, my internship last year. Got to meet Dom Izzo in person. So I've gotten to meet a ton of people in a short amount of time. So
Nice.
yeah.
I know you mentioned softball. How is commentating for softball different than commentating for basketball? And like, how is your preparation different?
It's slower paced for sure. And I that's my first radio broadcast ever, so I'm getting used to. I mean, I had Niederman in the booth with me. He was to the left of me when I was calling the game. So if I was doing anything wrong or I had questions, he was right there to help me. It's very slow pace compared to basketball. Basketball, it's every 10 seconds something else is happening, right? When you get to softball, here's the 0-1 on the outside, strike 2, and then it's just 10 seconds of filler, and you got to fill it with something. So I'm constantly looking at the stat sheet that I'm provided by the SID. So I'm like, okay, Bella Dean is hitting 343 this year. She knocked in 17 RBIs. I'm making that part up, but I don't know for sure. But it's very slow paced in it. But I've called baseball in the past, so it's pretty similar. You know, if it has a bat and a ball involved, I can understand it. So my past preparation definitely helped me in that regard, but it's definitely a slower paced game.
Well, speaking of slower pace, how would you say, is it hard at all to advance in like this industry, the journalism industry, or is it pretty easy to climb the ladder?
It's about opportunity. To me, it's about opportunity because, I mean, I walked on the campus and I didn't know what I was going to do and get involved in something. And I looked on the Spectrum website because it's funny because I took a picture at orientation a couple years ago. I saw the sports editor desk. I took a picture. I'm going to do that someday. Seriously, I did. It's
and then he took a picture and he did that
It's on
someday.
my phone. And it was like, but I got lucky because the previous sports editor graduated. Craig Schwinden graduated. And so I saw the sports editor position was open. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna try for it, see if I can get it. Because it usually started as a contributing writer or a staff writer for the editor. Well, I said, okay, sports editor position open. My resume is really good. Let's just see if I can do it. And I walked into the editor-in-chief, Kyle Feldke's office, and I did the interview. He asked me about 4 to 5 questions, and he said, I think I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to wait till Monday just to confirm. So it was rather easy for me, but I'm kind of creating my own opportunities. Like I created the internship opportunity. I created the 1660 opportunity because I knew once 1660 was interested, that's when I knew I was going somewhere with this broadcasting and journalism stuff. Did you ask about preparation earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to answer that question. Preparing for softball is a bit different because it's just a lot. It's more names. It's a lot more names on the field at once. There's 10 people on the field at once compared to I mean, it's the same amount of people, but it's just they're separated by a little bit differently. So it's harder to tell people's physical characteristics alike. Like you can tell what Mason Claybaugh wears and what he looks like, but when you have a batting helmet on, it's a little harder to tell. But it's pretty similar when it's just a lot of stats and stuff. That's really the only difference.
Going back to kind of like the school side of things.
Yeah.
What are like the classes you're taking right now?
The class I'm taking is mainly communication courses, prerequisite journalism courses. So I have all but one journalism prerequisite to fulfill. All of them are done except one. So once that's finished, I'll have all my prerequisites and I'll be fully enrolled in the journalism program in the spring semester next year. But mainly a lot of English, a lot of comm. That's pretty much. I mean, I took a history class, but that's just a part of my minimum requirements to my generals. So, but mainly communication English courses.
Well, also too, kind of continuing since Levi is bringing you in the school is kind of an important one. What's your favorite spot to eat on campus? You know, the people have to know. Or do you really even eat on campus?
I eat mostly at home. I do. I from time to time I'll be on campus, but most of the time I'm at home. Because my class schedule is where, now again, I lucked out on my schedule. I have 3 days off this semester. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have no class. Pretty nice. Next semester, I have class every day. So it's not every semester you get a class schedule like that. But I know the dining center is really good. I've eaten there a couple of times. So dining center, I like it personally. Union's got some good stuff. But again, comfort of my own home is pretty good too. So
yeah, you're home most of the time, aren't you? You don't dorm or anything?
I don't dorm for now. I live at Hubbard Hall, which is my house.
Alrighty.
So
the Hubbard home.
Hubbard Hall is everything I need for now. In the future, would I be on campus? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have to be on campus for at least a year?
It used to be a requirement. You had to live on campus your first year. That's no longer a requirement.
Okay.
So I took the advantage. I mean,
the more you know.
No, I mean, I'm 12 minutes from campus, so I can easily drive back and forth with the interstate and everything. So it's not a problem for me.
Yep.
All right. We'll continue the track we're going on. So how is life like being a college student different, and like what's growing up like?
I have more time. I think I have more time on my hands because usually, when you go to high school, you're committed from 8:45 until at least 3 o'clock, depending if you had class 8th period or not. Now I get up on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, and I can get up at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I can, I mean, seriously, I can get up later. I always have some online coursework to do, or later in the year I have some papers to work on, so I just do that instead of being committed to being at the building for 8 hours, 7 hours a day. I can work from my office in my house, and I can do certain things that I want to do instead of working on a science project. So I have way more time on my hands, more open hours.
He's his own man, and he gets to actually do stuff that he thinks matters.
Yes.
Flexibility.
No more committed to Algebra 2 homework and stuff like that.
Oh God, don't even get me started on that. Well, one thing I wanted to ask is, because I think it would be funny.
Yeah.
How was it like dealing with the Davies Live Network? And more importantly, how is it like dealing with me as your producer? And is it important to have a team you trust?
Oh, you were great. No, the Davies Live Network has been really good to me the last couple of years. I'm thankful Langley's letting me stay on and do this to keep developing my craft and continuing to work on this. Mm-hmm. Being part of a team is pretty big, especially with the Spectrum, because I have a group of writers that I'm working with all the time, and so I make sure that our work is top notch. I'm also a part of a great team at the Spectrum with a variety and news and a opinion editor, along with an editor in chief, with our photo editor. There's a lot of things that go into a newspaper. So when it's made well, that's all that's important. The group has to do well more than the individual does. But I take pride in my section. I take pride in what we do at Davies Live Network. If it's not perfect, it's not right. So it's got to be right.
Exactly.
So when we do a broadcast, it needs to be the best it can be, plain and simple. So I know I'm graduated, but I still look at Mustang Media every now and then, and I'm like, we got to beat those guys.
I know, yeah.
So,
our number one competitors.
So I just feel like, no, like if we're doing a game, yeah, they may have the better graphics, but they don't have the better broadcast team. I know that for sure. I'll take me and my dad over anybody doing games.
They have money, but not
they have
character.
money. Yeah, for sure they have money.
Because Essentia Health basically sponsors them. And my mom said the reason why she knows because she works there is because apparently the person who sponsors them has a child that goes there. So that's why.
That makes sense. So again, Davies doesn't have a big pool of money to go to because it's still a pretty new school.
I know we had Booster Club that one year, and then that was kind of it.
Done.
Boom, our grants are done. We're not special enough. No. I think Langley's trying to fight, though, to get us into the sports budget.
I would hope so.
I know. Because that's what we are.
Hey, Claybo can't carry the athletic department forever. So, I mean, just being honest. So, yeah.
So you kind of touched on this, but like when you want to grow up, what's the specific title you want to be?
I want to be a play-by-play broadcaster for a national network. If that's ESPN, if that's Fox, NBC, whatever, I want to be doing play-by-play work. I want to get into games for free because that's not the main purpose, but Ernie Johnson, there's a quote that I love from him. It says, "You get a get-to job, not a got-to job." He gets to work at TNT for over 30 years. Like he gets to be it inside the NBA. He doesn't have to do that. It's a get-to thing, and that's what I want to do. So being able to go to all these great events and do it get paid to do it, the best seat in the house all the time, that's a dream for me, plain and simple.
What sport would you prefer?
I haven't done enough football, but I'd love to do football. Basketball is great. I've plenty of reps doing that. I mean, if I did baseball, that'd be great too, but I would love to do the football, basketball kind of role. Kind of what Jim Nantz does, what he did for a while, which was do college basketball, but also be the lead NFL voice for CBS, or maybe a Mike Tirico kind of role, just doing whatever I can get my hands on, but those would be the primary sports.
Yeah, because, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. But, speaking, obviously, prefer the NFL, I thought this would be kind of a good question is, like, what was your favorite NFL commentator? Like, for me, it's Tony Romo right now, just for the fact of his knowledge.
So you see, this is where it kind of gets complicated because Tony Romo, I believe, was really good when he started, and now he's regressed.
Yep.
Because I just feel like people have kind of caught up to him and are doing the stuff he does, but just better, honestly. And I'd say, honestly, I think Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle's good, too. I kind of like to pick my network because, again, the Vikings are usually on Fox.
Yeah.
So we rarely ever get, like we got Nantz and Romo for the Kansas City game last year, but I'd probably lean towards anybody from Fox because I hear them all the time. Bernhardt's pretty good, but I always lean towards CBS because I feel that CBS always does a better job producing and announcing games than Fox does. So Kevin Harlan's always a guy I love. Jim Nantz is always really good. But my favorite, I love Joe Buck too. Buck was really good for all those years at Fox and he's at ESPN. But I would probably say my broadcasting style is based off of two people, Kevin Harlan and Michael Grady. Grady's the Timberwolves announcer on Valley Sports North. He might be my favorite guy to listen to calling a game because if you hear me say 3-ball corner pocket like I did, that's a Michael Grady.
Yeah.
That's a Michael Grady line that he uses. He also uses the electric slide thing, which I really wanted to use too. I couldn't fit it in anywhere. But that's like some of my calls. A lot of them come like the sheet that I have of all the calls on it that I like to use. That's lines from other people plus what I've kind of added in. But I would say Kevin Harlan's probably my favorite to listen to.
My favorite one, just every time that they make a 3. Got it.
Yep. It's just you want to find a call that you can be people remember you for kind of thing, and it's just got it is so simple that it's just like it just comes out. Sometimes I don't even think about it. Like when I see a 3 go down, that's what I fall back into. So Beiswinger for 3, you got it. So it's just one of those things.
It's exactly how it goes down.
So yeah.
All right, it's time to announce one of our 3 sponsors. We're gonna start with Mahana Fresh today. Big shocker. We always start with Mahana Fresh first, but
we like them just a little bit.
Eat fresh, feel fresh, refresh.
Mahana Fresh.
I keep stealing your line.
Yeah, you keep stealing my line. I made that one up on the fly. Cooper Wallow should pay me for it.
Quality food though, and it's affordable, and it makes you feel good after you eat.
Not the worst when you consider it's about the same price as a Subway footlong.
But you know what? Let's just go to another sponsor. I'm trying to save some of my questions for the ending. So You know what? Let's just talk about MPF because
the place that we're in.
That's the place that we're at right now. Gave us this room, and if you want to reduce fat, it's right there actually right now. Reduce fat, increase explosiveness, and more.
Feel the burn.
It's definitely the place to go. All right. Well, I'm gonna go to my next question.
That was a good ad read, boys. That was good.
Oh, we're not done yet.
We still have one more.
I was reading Farmers Mutual Nebraska and the Bridges all weekend. So.
Oh yes.
So because you have to do it 4 times a game. So that was.
Oh yeah, they give you a certain amount, like you have to do this.
They gave me a sheet that it's just full of this. It's 2 pages of ads. So you have no seriously. That's how it works. So you have during the game they have their title sponsors, Farmers Mutual Nebraska and the Bridges. So when Cole Payton talks about how great the Bridges are, I have to talk about it 30 seconds later when I get back on. But I also have the Consolidated Communications. They have Jim Beam. I always love when a college kid talks about Jim Beam on the air. That was good. But just again, you got to keep the show afloat and you got to get the ads in. So you guys are doing the best you can.
They pay for it.
They pay for it, yeah, for sure.
All right. So what kind of made you decide that sports broadcasting and just play-by-play commentating was kind of just the job for you?
I kind of figured early on, I love sports so much, and I just figured probably not going to be able to play it collegiately or professionally. I knew high school was as far as I was going to get pretty early on, that I wanted to have a fun job, and I knew that I wasn't the smartest person in the room, but I knew about one topic I was, and that was sports. So I figured, what can get me into that arena where I'm talking about it? And then I watch on TV other football games. Okay, who are those people that are calling the game? I want to be that person, or I want to be the person writing about it. So it was a pretty easy thing for me to decide on what I wanted to do with my life. Was I wanted to do something in sports. I didn't know what it was, but once I figured out quickly what sports journalism was, that's what I wanted to do. So
that's kind of the same for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't been too lucky injuries wise and all that stuff, but like. Sports journalism is something that I'm definitely considering right now. And I think that's just probably what I'm going to end up doing. I think it's just going to be, that's something fun to do.
I'm the complete opposite. I never got hurt. I know. The problem with me, and not really a problem, is this, we had so many great linemen that were ahead of me. Like, plain and simple. Like, I made a goal after my junior year. I'm like, I want to be a starter. I want to be a captain. I want to do all those things. And then you get into camp, and it's like, well, damn, we got a loaded offensive line. We had 5 seniors on our offensive line to start the year. We had Jack Bull, we had Johnny, we had McCarthy, we had
Palmer,
and who was our other guard? We had Kurzman at center.
Yeah.
So we had a loaded offensive line. Probably the best team I ever played on was my senior year team. Like, we won the EDC, we were so great, but I was like buried on the depth chart. Like, I started the grand total of 1 game in 3 years of playing varsity football. So. And I only started that 1 game because remember Jack Bollinger? He always had problems with Coach Fiegelberg. They had their battles. Like Caleb Leem had his battles with Coach Peterson. So did Jack with Fugie. So like our opener at Mandan, my senior year, like I didn't even know I was even starting, and Fugie's like, "You're in." I'm like, "What? Why am I starting?" It's so like. So he's like, "You're starting." I'm like, "Okay." So I played the first half. I remember the first play that I got up to the line. I was playing right guard, and the Mandan defensive line looks across me and goes, "Nice shoes." So I was wearing my Jordan 1 red cleats that everybody loved that year.
Oh, like, yeah.
Everybody in the locker room, like, everyone wanted to touch him and everything. It was like a sacred cow. Everybody wanted to just be around them.
He had the best shoe game.
I had the best. I like remember Andre Work later in the year. He got like a pair of Oklahoma Jordans.
Yep.
Like cleats, and so I got to. So he's like, I got him because he liked them. I'm like, okay, great. But like, I was never talented enough to play consistently. So I'm like, I got to do something else. And the best thing Bart Manson ever did was cut me off the freshman basketball team because that made me do something else. So that's what got me to doing games. And then remember, he gave us that shout out. A couple like we didn't get it on camera because we were still setting up.
I know,
because from time to time, sometimes you people forget to set up. And so, or at least it's not fully set up. So I'm like, shoot. Because I would have wanted this. So I asked him about it after the game. He's like, you do such a great job. I want to keep you full time. I'm like, we'll see if we can make that happen. I don't know.
He'll probably come back next year.
We'll be back next year for sure. It's after that. I don't know. But for
because then I'll be gone.
Yeah, for the next basketball season, this one will be there. I don't know about the following year, but yeah.
Alrighty. one thing I want to ask is I know you're really big into Twitter and obviously doing your tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wanted to ask, what is your favorite social media? I know you use Twitter a lot, but is that your actual favorite?
It's the one I post the most on, but I'd probably say Insta. I mean, I'm a pretty passive scroller. I don't post a ton on Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 15 posts, but that's over like 5 years. So
yeah, and you just kind of repost on
and,
your story
and I'm just
then.
like, I'm cutting highlights and putting them on social media. That's really all I'm doing. And if it comes to reposting or things like that, I'll retweet, I'll give opinion, but it's not really a full-time thing. It's just, I just feel if you're going to be in sports journalism, you have to speak your mind sometimes.
Oh yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
I do that. No, Levi, you do that too. But I do that just because there are some people who care about what I say, and I give them what they want to hear. So you care or not, I'm still giving my opinion one way or another.
You don't get a choice. I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say.
I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just I'm an aggressive fan of my teams, and I'm gonna express my opinions on my teams.
Next thing you know, you see a Twitter thread of you just absolutely bashing someone.
No, I don't bash anybody. No, I don't do that. No.
Okay, well, speaking of the Twitter world,
yeah,
the Vikings. It's kind of something we kind of have to acknowledge. The draft's, 9 days away now.
Yep.
What do you think the Vikings are going to do, specifically in the first round?
They'll trade up into the top 3, or they'll sit there at 11. Well, one way. That's the only thing I can picture them doing.
So not 4 or 5.
Not 4. Why trade into the top 4 or 5 when the top 3 quarterbacks are gone? Do you want Kirk Cousins 2.0 and JJ McCarthy, or do you want a game changer in one of the top 3? I mean, seriously, McCarthy reminds me a lot of Cousins. He needs everything to go right to be successful. It's the same way what Cousins has right now in Atlanta.
The issue I have with that is, originally, I love JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
As, freshman, sophomore year. Then he gets to his junior year. And then for some reason, I think since, the hype started rising on him, I feel like I started, kind of losing my interest. And then I just started watching some games. I was like, this guy's not as accurate as advertised. He doesn't have as much touch as advertised. And it's a concern.
Yep.
He's got more athletic ability than Kirk Cousins does, but he's also smaller. Yep. And are we even going to be able to use that athletic ability, or is he going to get injured? So I would prefer Drake May.
Yep, I would too.
However, if we could trade to, let's just say, pick 5 and only have to give up 2 first-round picks, and you really like the guy, why not? Is my thought process with that.
I don't like McCarthy enough to want to pick him. Like, people were high on his pro day. I'm like, I don't even watch pro days because I feel they're useless. Like, you're throwing the receivers you're comfortable with. You're in a controlled environment. You should like, I think Wentz threw 60 passes at his pro day. He completed 58 of them. Of course he completed 58 of them. He's in his own dome. He's got his receiver, his backs and receivers. He should complete 58 of 60 passes, right? So I just like pro days, scouting combine, can they play? That's all I'm worried about. And at the point with the Vikings, you had a game manager for the last 6-7 seasons, right? You need a game changer at quarterback. They haven't had one like that since Fran Tarkenton? That was the early 70s? Seriously. I mean, they had Tommy Kramer. They had Culpepper. He was okay, but he wasn't a consistent. He was gone in 5 years because of all the injuries he had.
Teddy B?
No. No. He had one fluke season, then he tore everything in that knee, and that was it. And Cousins was okay. Keenum made plays, but you need a game manager that people were scared of. Are other defenses scared of Kirk Cousins? No. They're scared of his backs and receivers, not him himself. Like, Drake May could scare the heck out of people because of just how good of an athlete he is, how great of a thrower he is. You put Jefferson and our entire team around him, if we can keep Jefferson here long term, they'll be in a good position.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is gonna resign eventually. I mean, I can't see a world where he goes anywhere else.
You can't be 100% certain, and they did the same with Randy Moss. Moss was there for 5 years and he was gone because ownership ticked him off, and the talent around him just wasn't good anymore. And so I just feel with JJ, he's in a different circumstance because his team is a lot better than Randy's team was back in 2003. But like, you got to keep him happy somehow, and he's being involved in draft decisions to keep him happy. So we'll see where it goes. I hope he gets re-signed, but I'm not gonna hold anything because I'm just like, whatever happens.
Whatever he wants to do. He's got to do what he wants to do. And you need to
pay him $31 million a year to get over Tyreek Hill's contract. So
I know.
So The Wolves got to find $30 million a year to pay him too.
Hey, when you're the best, you deserve the best paycheck.
Yep.
Alrighty. This is going to be my last question, but I feel like it's a very important one.
Okay.
What would you say is the best advice that you would give to people with your information now of people who would want to follow a path similar to you?
If you're invested, if you love sports, get into this. But you gotta be smart about it. You can't just jump into it just to jump into it. You have to have some knowledge and backing of what you're doing. Like I went to NDSU. I knew exactly what I was doing because I followed the teams since I was 7 years old, right? So for the last decade plus, I was watching Bison football. I was very familiar with everybody. I was familiar with the Vikings, and I was very familiar with the side of broadcasting because I think we've all done this. We're playing Madden or playing 2K. We broadcast the game to ourselves when no one's around. We just talk out loud, and I did that forever. Like I play NCAA 14.
And here he goes,
Yeah,
and oh my God,
I did that.
He's dead. He's dead.
No, but like it's like NCAA 14. If I had an NDSU on Team Builder, I was like Brock Jensen was the man, and I would be throwing dots with him. I'd be commentating the whole game. So you have to be committed. You have to be willing to take your lumps a little bit, and that's what I'm kind of doing with 1660. Is if I'm in the booth with Sam Niederman, I'm gonna listen to everything he tells me to do, and I'm gonna listen to that advice. You need good advice, and you need good people around you. So like when I did the talent for those 3.5 years.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Jasmine Ranke, the advisor. She's Breitbach now, right? Is it?
Yeah, she's married now.
Yeah,
finally. Yep.
Because I think she just got married when I left, but she's still Ranke to me. So, but she taught me how to write because like before I got into high school, I thought writing was boring and a waste of my time. But then I got into it. And I'm like, man, this is actually kind of fun. Then until I refined my craft, it became a lot easier to do. But you have to be willing to take your lumps, but also enjoy it. It's sports, for crying out loud. It's one of the best things you can do. So enjoy it.
So let's do our last sponsor, just so we don't forget, because sometimes we forget that stuff. Finley on the Roof.
Finley on the Roof.
The new sponsor on the block.
We're sitting on a Finley on the Roof provided couch right now. And basically any type of holiday service you want, whether that be putting up lights on your house or even just as simple as like putting them on your tree, Christmas tree. He'll do it big or small. He does West Acres, as you guys have probably seen in the slideshow. He actually does West Acres lights.
Yeah, he does a lot of bigger buildings. So literally any type of building he can handle. He's got it covered. But last question from my end here. This is our new segment I'm actually going to bring in. It's questions from outside of the world. Or from the outside world. My cousin watches the podcast. She texted me asking about Caitlyn Clark. I mean, she's kind of, the big name going around, especially after March Madness. Why is she so much better than everyone else? What does she do that is just... why is she so much better
Always
than
got a
everybody
smile
else?
on
Is she better than the rest of WNBA? I'd say not yet. She's a phenomenon because she's basically the second coming of Curry, right? But she has that global persona around her that no other WNBA or college women's player has ever had. And you could definitely say she was the most electrifying player in all of college basketball because you don't know anybody on the men's side. Like UConn won the national championship. I couldn't name more than one player maybe off that team. You can name multiple WNBA players. Like I sat down last night and watched the WNBA draft. Never done that before. But because I was familiar with all these players, I wonder where Cameron Brink's going to go. I wonder where Angel Reese is going to end up. Because I saw I was scrolling through Instagram and all the mock drafts, like Angel Reese might go to the Minnesota Lynx. I'm like, that's interesting. I don't cheer for the Lynx or teams like that. I'm like, it's Minnesota. I'm interested. So, but no, it's just she's such a global phenomenon that's just so interesting to watch. And we'll see what happens with the Indiana Fever. But most of our games have been on national TV now, so you'll always see Caitlyn Clark. But it's interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the weird thing was compared to other years, the women's March Madness championship game was more fun for me to watch. It's the first time I've ever even watched the women's championship game. I loved watching.
I was watching a ton of women's basketball. I was watching as much as the men probably. I was watching the first couple of rounds more than the women, but the men, it was just like you knew kind of what was going on. The women, you like marquee matchups galore. I mean, there's Juju Watkins, there was Beckers, there's Clark, there was the South Carolina. This is an undefeated team. Like, there's just so much more going on. It's pretty predictable because you knew going into the men's Final Four, it's like you just knew, okay, UConn's going to win. It's by how many points. You knew with the women, it's like, this would be a great game. I wanted Iowa to win, but I'm like, South Carolina wins. They were undefeated, and that'd be a heck of a story too. So interesting, very interesting.
Alrighty, Levi. So now we're just going to get into some of our closing up segments. You know, we always have our traditions. So for me, I have my 2, and then Levi also has his 2. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. So Levi's going to do Today in History and Celebrity Birthdays.
Okay.
I do Food of the Week, or Ofer Subsidized Meal of the Week, and then Quote of the Day.
Okay.
So for the Meal of the Week, it's going to be Puppy Chow.
Okay.
How do you feel about that one?
I like it. No, I like Puppy Chow. Puppy Chow's good. I haven't had it a ton, but I know it's pretty good when I've had it. So I'm on board.
Honestly, it's actually grown on me recently, but it's not something I go to. Like when I'm at like a sporting event or anything, I think of other things like popcorn. I mean, I always go popcorn or Dippin' Dots. But, Puppy Chow, in my opinion, I'm not a huge fan.
Truly upsetting. Alrighty, you give us our Today in History. He's going to be a little Johansson over there.
This is going to be much more interesting than last week because there's actually a couple things that happened. April 16th, 1972, Apollo 16 departed for the moon. This was the 5th mission, collected samples. Shocker. First use of ultraviolet camera on the moon. And then April 16th, 1945, Hitler called for the last stand on the Eastern Front while in his bunker. He then committed suicide 2 weeks later in that same bunker. Thought that was kind of an interesting thought. And then the last one, Arthur Chevrolet, the brother of the creator of Chevrolet, dies by suicide. So, a little bit of, gruesome, interesting history things. But those are like the main things that I seen. All right,
alrighty. So then obviously I have my Quote of the Week.
Okay.
I think you're going to like this one.
Okay.
Life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late. That is from Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
I think you can agree with that, though.
Yeah, I could agree with that for sure.
Because it's like, you go your whole life being naive, not really knowing what you're going to do and kind of stuff like that for a lot of people out there. And it's like by the time you get old, it's like just done.
Right.
Because then that's when life is over.
Fascinating. Yeah. Celebrity birthdays. Last week I had none because of how boring it was. This week I actually found a couple that are interesting. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, April 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Chaplin.
Nice.
Bill Belichick.
Ooh.
Okay.
And then Chance the Rapper was the last one.
Okay.
And that was celebrity birthdays for April 16th.
The Bill Belichick though.
Why is that?
I'm kind of torn on Belichick after all these years. Just kind of had enough of Belichick.
Seems like a little bit of a prick almost. He kind of seems stubborn.
Yeah, and it's almost a good thing he's not an NFL head coach this year because he's done running the Patriots into the ground. He had a great 20-plus year run in New England, but like John Mayo, it's time to move on to someone new in New England. And okay, was it Brady? Why were the Patriots successful? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? I say Brady.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think people are kind of hoping almost that it was Belichick.
It's Brady.
And then
Belichick's the first ballot Hall of Fame coach, but it's because of the quarterback, not because of him.
Exactly.
I mean, he couldn't draft a position player the last 8 years he was there anyway. So.
Alrighty. Well, that is going to streamline us straight to the end there. It's been a pleasure having you on and you giving your honest opinions.
Appreciate it.
On everything. I hope this will help people who are ever thinking about kind of some of the logistics of sports production and broadcasting to maybe figure out some things. And obviously, of course, NDSU, great place to go to school.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend
Absolutely.
it. Me and Levi are gonna go there once we're done with our stint at Davies.
Always in need of writers, gentlemen. Always in need of writers.
I mean, I'll be there probably. So
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be doing MIS business.
Okay.
So Levi, what have you even figured out your major yet?
I'm still thinking, but something with communications would be something.
Yeah,
What I'm thinking
Yeah.
right now.
because last Friday, I interviewed for the editor-in-chief position, got turned down, but spectrum. But again, I got the criticism I wanted or the feedback I wanted because you're just a little too young and you don't have the experience yet. And that's fine with me. So I'll be the sports editor next year, and we'll see what happens after that.
Heck yeah.
No problem in trying.
No, that's why I said, you know what? I throw my name in the hat now. If they don't like me now, I got 2 more opportunities for them to like me again. So
There you go.
There you go.
Alrighty. Well, this will be a signing out from MPF.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in the next episode. Keep her between the ditches.